Welcome to the 25th chapter of the book of 2Chronicles. We continue with the kings, and the king that we will be going through today is Amaziah, whose father Joash was killed, and Amaziah now takes reign, and it says a son being 20 and Pente, 20 and 5 years old, was Amaziah. A pentagon has 5-sided building in Washington, D.C. In his Vasalevin, taking reign. And 29 years he reigned in Jerusalem, so he had a fairly long reign. And the name of his mitri, maternal as a derivative, was Eodain, Jehoiadan in the English, from out of Jerusalem. So she was apparently a Jew, unlike Athaliah. And he did the upright thing before the Lord, but not with a full heart. So he was one of these that was sort of in between. So was a couple of the other ones. They did mostly good things, but then they did some bad things. But here I'm really surprised that they wouldn't put him in evil, because of what happens when we go through this chapter. You'll find out. And it came to pass, as the kingdom was placed in his hand, that he killed his servants, the ones murdering his father the king. So as we remember, the people murdered King Joash because he was evil, and he killed the sons of Jehoiada, the high priest, and that's why they killed him. So now this king is, Amaziah, is taking revenge, killing those people. Now, whether or not those people should have taken the life of a king is probably, you would have to go back to with David and Saul. David had the chance to kill Saul many times, but yet he would not touch the hand of the anointed of God. And so apparently the anointed of God were the ones that were ruling. And so I don't believe David would have done that, or would have wanted that to have been done. Can't say, but here these men took it into their hands to kill him, and they suffered because of that, their death. And their sons were not killed according to the covenant of the law of the Lord. Nomo, law, astronomy. Nomi is a derivative. As it is written in the Nomo of Moses, as the Lord gave charge, saying, Pateras, fathers, paternal, father shall not die for the children, and the sons shall not die for the pateron, but only each for his own sin shall die. So the sons of these people were protected, where they were not killed. And Amaziah gathered the house of Judah and established them according to the houses of their families, for commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds in all Judah and Benjamin. So it went through, and the main houses, the families that were there throughout. Then he put the one person in charge of so many people, some places thousands and hundreds, a civil institution of dividing the peoples into people that can be governed under one person. And he numbered them from 20 years old and up. So basically, he's making the commanders, and then he is going to find out all the ones that are of military age, 20 years old and up. And he found of them 300,000 mighty ones going forth for polemon, war, polemics, derivative, mighty ones holding the spear and shield. And he hired from Israel 100,000 mighty ones in strength for 100 talents of silver. So the reason is because he is going to attack Mount Seir. And the man of God came to him, saying, O king, let not the force of Israel go with you, for the Lord is not with Israel, of any of the sons of Ephraim. So basically, here there's two things that he was doing. One is by hiring these other people to help, is not depending on God alone. And it's like if we we're not going to hire somebody to go fight our battles or so forth, but yet when certain problems arise, we need to go to God first. If it's a marriage, instead of going to a psychologist that's ungodly, or going, if you're having financial problems, going to somebody that's not a believer, I believe, is not the best thing to do. It's to go to people that are Christians like you are and I am. And the other thing is then here allying with the ungodly people. And so it's who do you seek out, and then who do you go along with, basically, are the two things I see here, lessons to be learned from the Old Testament. And he continues, for if you should undertake to grow strong by these in the battle, by the Israelites, the Lord will put you to flight before the enemies. For there is strength to the Lord to help and to put to flight. So the prophet is giving him this advice, and what does he do with it? Amaziah said to the man of God, well, and what should I do with the 100 talents which I gave to the force of Israel? And the man of God said, it is with the Lord to give to you more of these. Basically, cut your losses rather than lose everything. So if you've got yourself into a position with the ungodly, and you may have started a business, and you realize, you become a Christian, you realize this is not the person I should be with, but yet you have a lot invested, put a lot into a business, and so forth, and you would say, well, you know, I don't want to give up all the money I put in. I'm just going to go ahead and go along with that investment so I don't lose everything. But basically, God can give you back more than what you had, and the best thing to do would be to disinvest from anything that is ungodly in the best way that you can. Now, this may shock you, but right before 13 years, I walked away from the Lord, and at the very end, I owned a smoke shop, pipe shop. And so I gave my life to the Lord, and I had that pipe shop, and so what do? I just put a big sign, 50% off, and I sold everything in 1 week except a couple of trays of these really nice, expensive briar pipes. Walked out the door, walked into the back of the building, and dumped them into a trash container. So that was the end of my smoking days and the pipe shop and all of that. And then I started walking with the Lord and getting involved in this translation, doing the translation. And 10, and Amaziah parted the force coming to him from Ephraim, the Israelites, to go forth to their place. He sent them back. And they were enraged in their anger exceedingly over Judah, and returned to their places in anger of rage. Now, why they were angry of rage without, you would think that, unless he didn't pay him, but you would think the way it was saying that he had already paid him, so he's not going to get the money back, I don't think. You would think that they would be fine with that, and hey, we don't have to go to battle, and we have all this money. But somehow it angered their, I don't know what you would call it, their manhood, the macho in them, that they wanted to go to battle, and they're all ready for it, and now they're being stopped from doing this. Men are strange that way. A lot of them love battle. Look at how many men spend time looking at the NFL football on a Sunday and getting all involved in that. If you took away the TV from these men, they would probably be in anger and rage also. And Amaziah grew strong and took to himself his people and went into the valley of Salts and struck there the sons of Seir, 10,000. Now, that was an area that was below the Dead Sea. I have a map here. Let's go to this map. So Edom, Mount Seir, it was over here, down below, and on further on down is Edom. So he went over there, down there, and he struck 10,000. And the sons of Judah took alive 10,000. So now they did it without the help of Israel, and they defeated them and brought them upon the tip of the precipice and flung them from the tip of the precipice, and all were torn to pieces. Well, seems pretty brutal, but this is the thousands of years again, and brutality was something that was done many places, and just the way it was. And the sons of the force, whom Amaziah returned so as to not go with him to war, the ones from Israel, assailed against the cities of Judah, from Samaria unto Bethhoron, and struck among them 3,000, and despoiled many. So let's go back to our map. Now, Beth-horon is right in here, not too far from Jerusalem, and Samaria is up in here, this area here. So they came down and raided these cities and killed people. And it came to pass after the coming of Amaziah, having struck the Edomite, that was the people on Mount Seir, that he brought to them the gods of the sons of Seir, and set them up to himself as gods, and did obeisance before them and sacrificed to them. Well, doing obeisance is bowing down on your face. So these gods of Seir he brought with him. Why? Who knows? But this is what he did do. And the anger of the Lord came against Amaziah, and God, he sent to him a prophetine, a prophet, and he said to him, the prophet, why did you seek the gods of the people, Seir, which rescued not their own people from out of your hand? Well, it's interesting, and the prophet, and God saying that, well, why are you seeking after something that has a record of failure? And we can take another lesson from this, in that if we are going to go to get information on how to fix our automobile that was broken, you wouldn't want to go to somebody that's had a bad record of not repairing cars very well, and they fall apart right afterwards. So you know that, well, this is not the person you would want to go to have repair your car. And I have a friend that comes over and does a little gardening and wants to do certain types of things with my garden, but yet their house, or the person's house, is a disaster as far as the garden goes. Now, why would I want to take that person's advice that doesn't even have their own garden in good shape? Or the proverbial painter who drives around in a beat-up old car and doesn't look very good. It's always nice to see somebody that has everything tidy and in shape, looks good, then you go to them. So here he's sought after these gods that didn't even rescue their own people. And I kind of wonder why the Muslims go after Allah when most Muslim nations that I see are in abject poverty. Not all of them, of course, but most of them are, and they're always at war with their neighbors. And I was thinking, well, if I'm a human and I don't know anything, I want to find a God. Now, what kind of God am I going to look for? Well, am I going to go look for a God that that the people believe in, that God is falling apart? They're in poverty. They don't have hospitals. They don't have medicine. They are always being attacked, or they're attacking somebody. Or do I want to find somebody that's at peace? Everything is working well, highly tuned. Of course, that's what I would look for. So this is not what this king did. And it came to pass in the speaking to him by the prophet, that the king said to him, "Oh, have I appointed you counselor of the king? Take heed to it that they should not strike you." And the prophet kept silent. And he said, "I know that the Lord consulted to utterly destroy you, for he did this, and you heeded not my advice." So there you are, you're on your own. And Amaziah, the king of Judah, consulted and sent to Joash. Now, this is not his father Joash, as I'm mentioning, they have the same names, but this Joash was the son of Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, who killed Ahab and Jezebel. He was the king of Israel, so this Joash is the king of Israel, has the same name as Amaziah's father. So he sends to them the king of Israel, and he says, "Come, for we should see each other's faces." That means let's go to war. And Joash, king of Israel, sent to Amaziah, king of Judah, saying, "Well, the thorn bush in Lebanon sent to the cedar in Lebanon, saying," so a thorn bush is just nothing. Basically, the cedar is this big, strong thing, strong tree, saying, "Give your daughter to my son for a wife. But behold, the wild beasts of the field in Lebanon shall come." And the wild beasts came and trampled the thorn bush. So basically, he's saying, he's giving the figure that he is the cedar, and that the king of Judah here, Amaziah, is the thorn bush. And Joash said, "You said, behold, I struck Edom, and your heavy heart lifts you up. Now be seated in your house, for why do you unite in Kakia evil? And you shall fall, and Judah with you." Well, that's true. But Amaziah ikusen hearkened not, ikusen, acoustics, hearing. For by the Lord it was to deliver him into the hands of Joash, for he inquired of the gods of the Edomites. So God is in control of everything, as I've pointed out so many times. And when we do evil, then God chastises us. And so basically he's going to chastise this king by allowing the king to do what he thinks he can do without God. And like with me, I was at a place when I was moved to California, and I just out of college, and I asked the Lord to leave me alone. Just, leave my life. I want to do what I want to do, how I want to do it, when I want to do it. And I just sat there and said those words, "Leave me alone." And so, all right, Lord, you want to be and do your own thing, then go ahead. For 13 years, it was a disaster until I came back. So the Lord allows people to do that. And Joash, the king of Israel, ascended against Israel. King of Israel ascended. Well, that's because when it says ascend, that means it's going up towards Jerusalem. And they saw one another, he and Amaziah, king of Judah, in Beth Shemesh, which is of Judah. So we'll go down to the map. And Beth Shemesh is right here. So that's fairly pretty far south that the king of Israel has went into Judah. And Judah was put to flight before the face of Israel, and each man fled unto his tent. And Amaziah king of Judah was overtaken by Joash king of Israel in Bethshemesh, and he brought him to Jerusalem, and tore down some from the wall of Jerusalem, from the gate of Ephraim unto the gate of the corner, 400 cubits. Again, Jerusalem is being sacked. And all the gold and the silver, and all the items being found in the house of the Lord, and the things with Obed-Edom, apparently some things were still there from this man and family that had a house where the Ark of the Covenant sat for a while when it came out of Philistia in the time of David, and the treasures of the house of the king, and of the things of the sons of the alliances he took, and returned to Samaria. So the king goes back up, Joash, and Amaziah's, everything has been taken from Judah, and it says, and Amaziah the son of Joash, king of Judah, lived after the dying of Joash the son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel, 15 years. So he alive for another 15 years. And the rest of the words of Amaziah, the first and the last, behold, are they not written upon the scroll of the kings of Judah and Israel? And that could be referring to 1 Kings, 2 Kings. And at the time when Amaziah departed from the Lord, that they made an attempt against him in a conspiracy in Jerusalem. And he fled unto Lachish. That's a little bit further south. Go to the map, and Lachish is down here. So he went south to get away from them because they're coming from the north. And they killed him there. And they took him upon the horses and entombed him with his fathers in the city of David. So this perennial killing of the king is happening over and over again, especially when they turn to idolatry. So turning to idolatry, walking away from God, is not a good thing, and we have the free will to do that. Not a whole lot more, but we do have the free will to walk away. And I think the biggest test that we find in this lifetime is if we are going to stay until the end. Meno is the word in Greek, to remain. Jesus says to remain until the end, the one that remains until the end, over and over again. So if it wasn't possible to leave, he wouldn't have said it, to remain until the end. And there are a lot of things trying to pull us away from God. And we have to be vigilant, being in the Word around Christian friends and church and things like that. Chapter 26, we continue with his son, Amaziah's son, Uzziah, and his reign in Judah. Chapter 26. Hope you'll join us in chapter 26, and God bless.